Okay, so let's move on to the third of our 5 value drivers. So number 3 is the total cost of ownership. So we may well find that our customers are in a position where they are receiving from our competitors products and services and solutions that on the face of it look very similar to our own. And they're asking the question, why should I pay a premium for this product versus these others? Now, one of the arguments that we can strongly make is that perhaps over time we're in a position where we will save the customer long-term costs. Perhaps we reduce their service costs, perhaps we reduce their long-term staffing costs. So in a moment or two we'll have a look at a few examples of total cost of ownership savings. But first of all I want to make 3 important points. So the first one is we need to make sure we're speaking with the right people. If we're dealing with perhaps junior buyers or tactical buyers, they may well be in a position where they have very tight budgets and very challenging year-on-year cost reduction targets. And they're very much focused on those and perhaps aren't as open to long-term savings and savings in other departments as we would like them to be. We may well need to actually move to a higher level in the organisation, to different decision makers, to different influencers, in order to have our story heard. The second point is that we need to make sure that the benefits we offered are targeted at the particular customer, like all propositions. So let's make sure we thought about not just generic potential benefits, but what does this particular customer get? And where we can quantify those, even better. And then we just need to ensure that we are getting a return on our investment. By its very nature, total cost of ownership is a longer term discussion and may well involve different decision makers and influencers within our customer. We're going to need to invest to make sure that we get those people on side. So it is going to be an investment. We are going to need to think about return. Okay, so let's give a few examples of total cost of ownership savings. So we've already mentioned that we may have some equipment whereby perhaps we reduce the servicing costs over the life of the equipment. Over 5 years, maybe the service interval is once every 2.5 years compared to our competitors where it may be once every 18 months. Perhaps we reduce maintenance, perhaps we reduce the number of upgrades that are needed. It may be that we deliver a product or a service that immediately reduces energy consumption or water consumption or the involvement of staff. Perhaps we have the subject matter know-how to help our particular customer or client reduce their future marketing spend or spend on health and safety. So there are a variety of different elements that can fall under that heading of total cost of ownership. We find a very useful way of thinking about and stretching our thinking about total cost of ownership is to consider it at both a component and a systems level. So at a component level, what directly does our product or service or solution save? At a systems level, are there implications for other parts of the business or operation where savings might be made? So as a simple example, let's assume that we operate in automotive and we sell spark plugs. Now, possibly our spark plugs across a 5-year window may need to be changed once or twice, whereas perhaps our competitors need to be changed 3 or 4 times. So there's a benefit in working with us. That's a good argument. But it may be we can make that argument great. It may be that our spark plugs also improve engine wear and tear and reduce energy consumption. If we can show those, prove those and quantify those, we're in a much stronger position. So an exercise you might like to try is to take a piece of paper and write down the alphabet and then think about the customer's costs and how they incur those in relation to your products, but also more widely in terms of the system that your product finds itself in. So what we're looking to do then is to take those costs and assign them against each letter of the alphabet. Now, some of the letters we'll find are very easy to fill in, but others are perhaps more stretching, and that's often where the value of this exercise lies. It really gets us to think about both short-term and long-term costs that may not initially be obvious. And perhaps some of those ideas are worthy of further investigation and certainly discussion with the customer. They may well be the levers to generating future value and really generating opportunities for further cost savings. So there we are, a few thoughts and ideas to introduce the concept. Concept number 3, total cost of ownership.